They were born on the same day, from the same womb. Two girls, identical in face, but never in spirit. From the moment they arrived, the air felt unsettled. The midwife, an old woman with shaky hands, smiled at the first baby, whose cry was soft like a lullaby. But when the second baby cried, it pierced the air like shattered glass. The old woman muttered under her breath, "Twins, but only one carries light." Their mother dismissed it. "Twins are a blessing," she said, wrapping them both in cloth. And so, she named the gentle one Amaka, and the restless one Chika. As they grew, it became clear that the midwife's words carried weight. Amaka was calm, helpful, and kind. She fetched water without complaint, comforted neighbors, and never raised her voice. Chika, though she wore the same face, had a different heart. She envied easily. If Amaka was praised, Chika sulked. If Amaka succeeded, Chika grew bitter. People in the compound whispered, "Same face, different soul." Life moved on. Their home in Ojiugo buzzed with neighbors, the smell of palm oil, and the noise of everyday survival. Amaka worked in a small shop, saving her earnings, dreaming of something steady and true. Chika sought shortcuts. She wanted fast money, fast love, fast recognition. And when Obinna arrived, her envy deepened. Obinna was tall, educated, well off. He noticed Amaka first. Her humility drew him in. Her laughter sealed his affection. Soon, he proposed. The family danced, palm wine flowed, and joy filled the air. But in Chika's eyes, joy turned to hunger. She wanted what her sister had, not because she loved Obinna, but because Amaka had it first. That night, something shifted. Amaka began to weaken. Her skin dulled, her voice cracked, and her laughter vanished. She visited doctors. They found nothing. She prayed. The sickness only grew worse. Meanwhile, Chika bloomed. Her beauty sharpened, her glow turned magnetic, and even Obinna, confused, began to notice her more. It was as if Amaka's life was draining into her twin. One night, Amaka had a dream. In it, Chika stood over her, same face, same body, but her eyes black as coal. "Your life is mine," Chika whispered in a voice that was not hers. "Your husband too." Amaka woke up screaming. Her pillow was covered in ashes. Her door was locked. Her window sealed. Fear gripped the family. Their mother, suspicious, decided to watch. At midnight, she saw Chika creeping into Amaka's room. In her hand was a razor blade. She cut Amaka's comb, scraped a drop of her blood, and tucked it into a small black clay pot. Their mother gasped but said nothing. For how could a mother admit that one child wanted to destroy the other? Desperation led them to call a healer. He arrived with white chalk on his face and palm leaves in hand. He circled the compound, sniffed the air, and frowned. "There is darkness here," he said, "and it hides in plain sight." He placed Amaka and Chika side by side with a calabash of water between them. As he chanted, the water bubbled, the ground trembled. Suddenly, Chika screamed. Her smile twisted. Her eyes rolled back. "Her destiny is mine," she cried. "She does not deserve it." "Only me," the crowd gasped. The truth could no longer be denied. The healer commanded her to reveal the source. Reluctantly, she led them to her room. Under her bed was the black clay pot. Inside were strands of Amaka's hair, scraps of her clothing, even drops of her blood. The healer lifted the pot, and it burst into flames. Chika fell to the ground, writhing. Her beauty seemed to melt, her skin cracked, her laughter turned monstrous. Everyone thought it was over. But then Chika rose. Her eyes were no longer human. Her teeth sharp, her voice layered with echoes, as if many spoke through her. "You fools," she hissed. "You think fire can end me? This is only the beginning." The healer stepped back, trembling. Their mother wailed. Amaka collapsed, because standing before them was no longer Chika. Something older, something darker, had taken root inside her, a spirit that fed on envy. The air grew cold. The compound goats wailed. The children ran. Chika's shadow stretched unnaturally along the wall, moving even when her body stood still. Her laugh echoed like drums inside a cave. The ground itself seemed to breathe. And then, darkness swallowed the compound, and when the flickering lantern light returned, Chika was no longer herself. Her eyes glowed red, her smile twisted, and her voice came layered, as though 10 unseen mouths were speaking at once. "I am not Chika," it said. "I am older than your blood." She opened the door, and now I have come to stay." The healer, who had seen many things in his long years, trembled. He pressed chalk against his lips, muttering incantations, but his hands shook. For the first time, his voice cracked with fear. Chika's shadow slithered across the walls, stretching, laughing, moving even when her body stood still. She turned her gaze on Amaka, who lay weak on the floor, and hissed, "You stole the love meant for me. But now, I will take more than your husband. I will take your breath, your light, your name." Their mother threw herself in front of Amaka, begging, but the spirit laughed, a sound that grated like iron on stone. Chika's body convulsed, her hands bent backward, her neck twisted unnaturally, and the ashes from the clay pot rose into the air, circling her like a crown of death. The roof creaked as if it would collapse. The healer shouted for palm oil and salt, and neighbors rushed to fetch them, pouring both into the calabash of water. He sprinkled it toward Chika. She screamed, her skin smoking as if fire licked at it, and the voice howled in agony. For a moment, everyone thought the spirit had been defeated. Chika collapsed, her face softening, her voice weak. "Mother," she whispered, before losing strength in her arms. The family rushed to her side. Amaka reached out, trembling, believing for one heartbeat that her twin was free. But freedom never comes so easily. That night, while the family tried to sleep, Amaka woke to the sound of scratching on her wall. She lit a lantern with shaking hands, and what she saw made her blood run cold. Words were carved in ash, words no hand had written. "One sister must die." Her scream tore through the compound, waking everyone. The healer returned at dawn, his face pale. He told them the truth. Chika had not been cleansed. The spirit had only hidden, waiting, feeding, biding its time. Jealousy opened the gate, he warned, but now the spirit wants more than envy. It wants blood to seal its stay. And if no sacrifice is made, this family will not see another moon. Panic swept the compound. Who would die? Who would be taken? Neighbors began to avoid them, whispering that the twins carried a curse. Amaka tried to pray, but every night the same dream came, Chika, standing over her bed, whispering in a voice that was both hers and not hers, "If one must die, it will be you." The family grew divided. Some said Amaka must be protected at all costs. Others whispered that Chika should be sent away before the spirit consumed them all. But wherever she went, the air followed heavy, and the spirit's presence lingered. Then Obinna returned. He looked thinner, restless. He confessed that every night, Chika came into his dreams. She wore Amaka's face, spoke in Amaka's voice, and begged him to choose her instead. He shook his head, his voice breaking. "I can no longer tell which twin I love. My mind is no longer mine." The family shivered at his words. The spirit was weaving itself into their lives. That night, Chika vanished. They searched the compound, the streets, the market, calling her name into the dark. She was gone. But before dawn, Amaka woke to see her sister standing at the foot of her bed, eyes glowing, smiling, holding a knife. Her voice was calm. "The spirit has chosen, and I have agreed." The knife rose, but before it could fall, the door burst open. The healer stormed in, chanting furiously, casting cowrie shells across the room. The knife clattered to the floor, and Chika fell screaming, clawing at her own skin as if something inside her wanted to break out. The walls shook, the windows shattered, thunder rumbled in the sky. The healer cried out, "This is no ordinary spirit. This is an ancient covenant, and if it is not broken, this family will be destroyed from the inside out." But Chika's voice answered back, layered and inhuman, "The covenant cannot be broken, unless blood pays the price." Her head snapped toward Amaka, her eyes turned black, and her mouth stretched into a smile too wide, too sharp. The lantern went out. When the lantern went out, the night swallowed every sound, and for a moment no one dared breathe. Then, out of the dark, came the spirit's voice, deep and ancient, echoing against the walls. "You want to know my name? You cannot speak it without shaking, but I will show you." The windows rattled, the ground trembled, and suddenly Chika's body rose into the air, suspended like a puppet pulled by unseen strings. Her mouth opened wide, but the voice that came out was not hers. "Long before you were born, before your mother's womb carried two instead of one, I walked these lands. I am Ojiugo, the one who feeds on envy, the shadow that turns sister against sister, blood against blood. I was bound in earth, but the cry of jealousy freed me. And now, I will not be silenced." The family huddled together, praying, but Ojiugo's laughter drowned their voices. Amaka's heart pounded as her sister's eyes rolled back, her arms stretched unnaturally. The healer scattered more cowrie shells, chanting faster, but they burst like firecrackers, burning to ash. His voice faltered. The spirit was stronger than he feared. "This is not a simple possession," he whispered. "This is a covenant sealed in the womb itself." The room grew colder. Amaka's breath showed white in the air. She tried to crawl toward her sister, tears blinding her, but Ojiugo sneered through Chika's lips. "You still think she is your sister? No. The day you were born, one of you carried light, the other carried shadow. Your mother did not know, but I knew. I chose her heart before she ever spoke her first word. And now, I will claim what is mine." The family gasped, and the mother's wail filled the room. "No, both my daughters were born innocent." But the spirit laughed, shaking the walls. "Innocence ends when envy takes root. And envy has taken root so deep, it has become my home." The healer fell to his knees, blood dripping from his nose. "If Ojiugo is bound to envy, then one thing can starve it," he muttered. "Sacrifice. Not of blood, but of the heart. One of you must give up what she loves most, or Ojiugo will never leave." The words hung heavy in the air. Amaka turned to her mother, then to Obinna, who stood trembling in the doorway. Chika, still half-conscious beneath the spirit's grip, lifted her face with a twisted smile. "Would you give him up for me, sister? Would you give up the one man who makes your heart beat, just to save me? Or would you watch me die and let me take you with me?" Obinna's eyes darted between them, his hands shaking. The spirit leaned closer to him, whispering in Amaka's voice, "Choose me. You know you love me more." He clutched his head, screaming, unable to tell which twin's voice was real. The family wept. The healer urged Amaka, "Decide quickly. The longer you wait, the stronger it grows." Amaka's heart split. To give up Obinna was to lose everything she dreamed of. To keep him was to doom her sister, maybe her whole family. She closed her eyes, shaking, whispering prayers. The spirit hissed in anger, sensing her hesitation. "Time is finished. If she will not choose, then I will choose for her." Chika's body lunged forward, hands grasping Amaka's throat. Her grip was cold as death. Amaka gasped for air, clawing at her sister's wrists, her vision blurring. The family screamed, rushing to pull Chika away, but her strength was no longer human. The healer threw himself between them, pressing a talisman to Chika's forehead. She shrieked, smoke rising from her skin, and for a moment Amaka was free. But then came silence. The talisman crumbled to dust, and the healer fell backward, blood pouring from his mouth. His eyes widened with horror. "It is too late," he rasped. "Ojiugo has anchored itself. The covenant now demands more than sacrifice of the heart. It demands a life." And with those words, his head fell to the side, and the healer breathed no more. The compound erupted in chaos. The mother wailed. Obinna shouted in panic. Amaka clutched her chest, gasping, while Chika stood slowly, her head tilting unnaturally, her smile stretching too wide. "Yes," the spirit purred through her lips. "A life must be given. One of you will die before the next sunrise, and I will be the one to choose." The fire in the lanterns flared without oil. Shadows danced across the walls. The ground shook as if the earth itself listened to Ojiugo's decree. The family backed away, their cries swallowed by the roar of something greater than themselves. And then Chika's eyes locked on Amaka. The spirit grinned, voice dripping with hunger. "I know exactly whose life I want." The lanterns blew out once more, and in the darkness, only Amaka's scream echoed into the night. Follow for part 2 because the truth is about to be exposed.